Hello Ryoko, I wrote 10k words every single day, which allowed me to finish my first draft in under a month. So I'll be providing the secrets on how I was able to do this easily. If you actually watch the video and actually implement this advice, you will also be able to achieve the same things I did. You can actually follow your dreams of being a writer. You can actually make it happen. Brandon Sanderson literally says most writers write 200 to 500 words every hour. The Slay writers write 750 to 1k words per hour. I write 1k words per hour. However, I was not always like this. It's just I implemented every single thing I said. If you implement the tips during this video, you will be able to increase your writing speed. For example, let's say you can write 1k words per hour. That means you'll be writing 10k words for every 10 hours. So if you write 10 hours a day, you write 10k words. If you write 5 hours a day, you write 5k words. So what you need to do is actually put in the hours, but also actually put in the speed. And this video will give you advice on how to do both. First thing I did is outline properly. How to outline properly. Outlines are actually really effective at enabling you to write fast because you know what you are going to write. How to have an effective outline is firstly, it needs to actually be in depth so you are able to pinpoint where you are, what's going on, etc. Also, what I find effective is if you outline chapter by chapter. So this happens in chapter 1, this happens in chapter 2, this happens by chapter 3. So that way you're not just aimlessly writing and you have a clear intention. What I also do is I hear a lot of advice saying know the ending and keep the ending in mind so you know where you're writing to. In my book, there's a crazy huge turning point like before the ending that changes up everything and everyone's like, oh my gosh. So what I did is I had that scene that literally switches up the entire book in my mind, so I knew I had to write in order to get to that point. So you can do that as well by either keeping an ending or a turning point in your mind. Then what's also helpful with the outline is to turn it into a checklist. So because you have the checklist for each single bullet point of thing that you're meant to write, and then when you finished it, you can check it off. So this enables you to achieve your goals. And this feeds into the second point, which is to schedule. Okay. So if you're actually scheduling, you can be like, I want to finish this outline point in 3 days. So you can put today's date and then the point, tomorrow the point, and then the day after you can put a different point. And that way you're able to schedule out your writing so you can have a clear goal of what day you're meant to finish, and therefore you're actually motivated to achieve that goal. What you can also do is have a specific word count goal for the day. For example, let's say you're writing 500 words per hour, which is the minimum Brandy Sandy recommends, and let's say you have the time to write 4 hours per day. Because when I finished my first draft in less than a month, I was on the holidays and had a lot of time. So let's say you have 4 hours, and if you don't have that time, you will be able to make it, just watch the end of the video and actually take your writing seriously so you're able to fulfill your goal and achieve your dreams. So that means you're writing 2k words every single day. So you can plan it out and say, okay, I'm going to write for this many hours and this many words. So therefore you're also able to have a goal in mind and a schedule that enables you to finish your book fast. So by using that tip, you can calculate how many words you want to write for each day depending on how much time you actually have. Tracking your word count will allow you to actually be realistic with yourself. So you're able to say, am I actually writing enough a day? For example, when I was writing my first draft, I was tracking how many words I wrote every single day. So if I was like, oh my gosh, I wrote 10k words, or even if I wrote 2k words, even if I wrote 1k words, I was like, wow, I've been productive. Whereas if I only wrote 200 words, then I'm not. For example, let's say 2 hours go by and you realize, so also time yourself. Let's say 2 hours go by and you've only written 200 words. Now you know the issue is you're not writing fast enough. Let's say you haven't been writing for a lot of hours during the day, then you know you need to increase the amount of hours you're working in the day so you can actually get your first draft sorted. Because if you get your first draft sorted, you will be able to be relaxed and not just stressing out and being like, this is never going to be finished, because it will if you actually believe in yourself, you actually implement the tips I'm saying, and you will be able to slay your book. Over 65% of people watching are not subscribed. Why are you guys not subscribed? In order to be part of the Real Cult, you need to subscribe. So comment down below massive life hacks that have enabled you to write super fast that you think will help people in the comments. Be consistent. Let's say you love writing, you're passionate about it, but the issue is you just can't write fast enough and you're trying, but you can only write 100 words per hour. You can only write 200 words per hour and you're struggling. The way to solve this is to just just consistently write each day, because scientifically, the more you do something every single day, the more the neural pathways are built and you're actually able to find it easier, which enables you to write faster. The more you practice something, the better you will get. So if you are still consistently writing every single day and not letting that stop you, you will be able to write not only faster but better quality. So if you just try your best to write for a lot, even if you can't write faster, just put in the hours, then eventually you will be able to get faster and faster and faster. So let's say you're just starting off writing 200 words, but you consistently write for, let's say, 3 hours every day. Then in a week, you might be able to up it to 300 words per hour, which means you're writing significantly more words whilst in the same time, just because you actually stayed consistent and prioritized your goal, rather than you were a mess, you only wrote 2 out of the 7 days of the week. If you're like, Ria, I'm not motivated to be consistent. Okay, first of all, you need to rely on discipline, not motivation. However, if you do want to be motivated, what you can do is, I literally have a playlist on my channel called Writing Motivation, where it's just videos of me threatening you to write or giving you tips on how to stay motivated. There's literally unhinged woman threatens you with butter knife to write, unhinged woman threatens you with teaspoon to write, unhinged woman threatens you with fork to write. So if you just want to watch me screaming at you to write, that will also help. What I did that actually enabled me to write 10k words in a day for every single day was, I was like, okay, I can't be bothered to write, let me just set a timer for 10 minutes or 20 minutes and then write for 10 or 20 minutes. So then I would be writing, then whilst I was writing, I was reminded and I was like, oh my gosh, my book is amazing, oh my gosh, this is so much fun to write, and I just get into the flow state and carry on writing. So that's another effect. It's the getting started that actually takes effort, and once you're actually writing, you'll be reminded of how much you love it and how amazing it is to work on your book. I had a specific method in order to write chapters insanely fast. Let's say we have a chapter, and in the chapter there's free event. So let's say protagonist finds key, protagonist sees enemy, and protagonist fights enemy, right? So you could be writing protagonist finds key, and then you have to write protagonist sees enemy. But you're like, wow, I cannot be bothered, I'm not motivated to write protagonist sees enemy at all. What I would do is I would just skip that scene, I would just leave a lot of spaces, and then at the bottom write protagonist fights enemy and leave a gap, because you do not need to write chapters linearly. You can do it in the way that you're doing what you're most inspired to write, so that way you're able to write faster. The first bit and the second bit I would write well, and then once I've done that, I feel more motivated to write the second bit, and I can easily come up with the sentences to string both events together that match the second event. So that way I was able to write chapters really fast, because I'm constantly writing bits of the chapters that I'm inspired to do. And when I would skip and write the later events in the chapter, that would give me inspiration for the earliest bits of the chapters anyways that I skipped, which led to me being inspired to write those pieces. Let's say you have to write for a long extended period of time, that will enable you to get into the flow of your work and get into the zone. So what I found helpful was to take no or limited breaks, because only unhealthy, Asian, toxic overworking over here, and just write super fast. So that way I was in the flow. Whereas if a timer went off and it was like, you need to have a break, that would disrupt my flow. I would get distracted, then I would come back. Would I even come back? No. Some days I would do that, some days I would take a break. It would really depend on the day. You need long-term identity-based goals rather than short-term outcome-based goals. Instead of thinking, I need to finish the book, I need to finish the book, I need to finish the book, the outcome-based goal is the outcome of finishing the book. Instead, you can think, I love writing this book, I need to write this book because I love writing this book. That way, you're actually focused on the end outcome rather than being focused on finishing the book. So while you're writing the book, you're actually getting fulfilled and enjoying being a writer rather than focusing on the end product. Because if you're focusing on the end product, you will not be fulfilled in the moment because you don't have it. Sure, it's good to keep that in your mind so you have something to aspire to, but you should enjoy the process and live in the moment of being the writer, and your goal should be having the identity of being a writer, someone who just writes. Whereas if you have the goal of just having the book, that's all you're going to be focused on. You're not going to even be enjoying the writing progress, you're not even going to be present while you're writing your book, and that way, is your book even going to be of quality? No. Are you going to even have enjoyed any of writing it? No. Next tip sort of bounces off what I said about the chapter tip. Write the parts of the book that you are the most inspired to write. For example, if you have your outline list with all of the bullet points of I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to do that, I need to do that, and it's various bullet points, you can pick what bullet point you want to write and you feel most inspired to write, leave a bunch of spaces, skip a bunch of chapters, and then write that. And that's what's also helpful with putting each outline into a chapter, is you can just write the chapter title and then go ahead and write that section of the outline. That way you're actually writing what you're most inspired to write, which means you're having a good time and it's fun. And like, as I said with the chapter things, it's giving you inspiration for the other parts of the novel that you didn't have, because you already know what it's like at this specific point in the book. So it's giving you ideas for that certain point in the book that you were missing. So this way it's more efficient as you're actually writing the bits that you are inspired to write. And that leads to you coming up with even more ideas, and overall the book will be slayer. And if you're writing a part of the book and you're like, I hate this is taking 10 hours for me to write, then consider skipping to a different part of the book and write that, and maybe you'll have more fun writing that. And then once you're in the zone of writing and once your neurons have adapted and your neural pathways have gotten stronger and you're better at writing, then if you go back to that bit, it will be better, it will be funner, and you will just slay. You need to think, do I have everything I need? Do I have a filled up water bottle? Is my laptop fully charged? Do I have everything I need? That way you won't get distracted when you need to do XYZ. So like go to the toilet, etc. before you start writing, so you don't have to stop midway. Then that way it makes sure you're still in the zone and you don't get distracted, or you're like, I'm starving, I need to get a snack, and then you get a snack, and then you get a snack, you get distracted, trash. Eliminate all distractions. Why is your phone there? What is the purpose of your phone? To get distracted. Instead, just put it away, keep it away, because what is your phone doing? Stopping you from achieving your goals, stopping you from writing. And that is what you were doing, because you clicked on this video, you know you want to write, you know the world will be blessed if you do this. Make everything look leng. So I'm not saying waste a million years making everything look leng and don't write 0 words. However, you can literally do this for free just by organizing your workspace, changing the font on the document, changing the word size, the color, etc. of the document, and just make everything look prettier, because that way you actually feel more inspired to do it, because it's in human nature to look at and to like pretty things. And you literally have no excuse, because I forgot to mention this, but I literally wrote my first draft before I owned a laptop. So I wrote my first draft on my iPad and I didn't have a keyboard, so it was literally just me going like, but with 2 hands. And I managed to write my entire first draft doing that. If I could do that in under a month, then you will be able to write yours at super sonic speed if you actually have access to a laptop and you're implementing this advice. And if you don't have access to a laptop, then I did it that fast, and so can you. So don't come up with excuses, don't feel bad for yourself, and just actually write your book and achieve your dreams. If you set a timer, then you can see the timer, you're more likely to just rewire something in your brain to make it write faster. Listen to rain audios, music, certain playlists. What I found really helpful is to layer these audios so they're all going on at the same time and it's like laser focused. Also, you can play Write With Me's in the background. So I uploaded a Write With Me 2 hours. However, that is less aesthetic, more for entertainment while you're writing, because I recorded it when I was ill, so you can just hear heavy breathing and sniffling and coughing. And also there was like insanely cursed things going on inside my house, so I was having a breakdown during the thing. So if you want that, I will link it in the description and the iCard, but that's just more entertainment. However, I do have plans of filming more, because that Write With Me was like writing with me, but I occasionally scream at you to write. I plan to do another one, but it's like with the Pomodoro timer, 25 minutes of writing, 5 minutes of me screaming, so that way it's more structured and I'm not ill, and I can't promise that there won't be cursed people outside of my house, because there always is. Have a positive mindset, okay? Have hope and belief in yourself that you can do this, because you miss 100% of the shots that you did not take. So if you actually have a positive mindset, then you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, so inspired, so slaying. And if you're not, just gaslight yourself into feeling positive about your writing. Be hopeful, okay? You want to write a book. You know that you want to write a book because you literally clicked on this video. Implement the advice, try your best, and that is the best you can do, and you will slay if you believe believe in yourself, because you can do it. You need a positive mindset, okay? Like, you can't control the things that happen to you, but you can control how you react to them. For example, with me and the iPad, I could be like, wow, I'm literally writing on an iPad and don't have access to a laptop. This is awful. How on earth am I going to finish it? But instead, I did not let that stop me. I did not think about that, and I just typed with my fingers on a screen, and I ended up finishing it insanely fast. And you can do the same if you just believe in yourself. Next way in order for you to write insanely fast, and how I did that, is writing in sprints. So for example, let's say you set a 50-minute timer, a 20-minute timer, any minute timer you want, and just think, my goal is to write insanely fast within this time frame. For example, if you set a 50-minute timer and your goal is to write insanely fast, you could have been writing for 2 hours insanely slow, but this way you will actually write more words and will be more productive. So your brain is just concentrated on the speed of getting it done. Do editing as you're going through the book. For example, when I was writing, if I spelt something wrong, I would not go back and change it. I would carry on. That way I was able to finish my first draft faster. When you're revising it, you might not even need the word you spelt wrong anyways, so there's no need to even go back because that word is getting eliminated. So instead of focusing on that now, your goal is to finish the first draft fast. Also, what I did is when I was writing it on a Google document, if I thought this concept, this idea, this background character, this certain element of the novel needs to be changed, instead of changing it, I would add a comment on the Google document and I would just write what needs to be changed. And I'd have lots of comments on this document. And I also had a separate Google Doc as well, which is called Things I Need to Change. So that way I am prepared for editing, and I will be able to finish the first draft super fast. Leigh Bardugo says her first drafts are just her writing a bunch of random trash and literally just explaining what happens, but that way she's setting herself up for success. And it's not even random trash, because it's good for a first draft, because that's what's enabled her to write Six of Crows. That's what allowed her to write Crooked Kingdom, which are both a really amazing book. So don't call your first draft trash. Don't talk down on your first draft, because it's actually iconic and amazing for a first draft. Brandon Sanderson literally backs up what I'm saying. An example he used is, let's say you're writing your book and you're using too much passive voice. He says, instead of trying to consciously think in your mind, oh my gosh, I need to stop using passive voice, I need to stop using passive voice, that will slow you down. He says you should just write it fast, then go back and edit out the passive voice, because that way it will, number one, be quicker, but number two, by editing the passive voice, you're actually learning more about how to stop the passive voice rather than constantly thinking of it while writing it. And then will you even finish the book if you do that? Yeah, in a million years. So Brandon Sanderson was literally like, that way in your future writing, you're less likely to use passive voice if you implement what him and I are saying. Randy Sandy literally writes 1 million novels in a day, so you can listen and trust what he's saying. Write with a friend, okay? Look, I know this is basic, but trust me, it is game changing, okay? Writing with a friend, you're both doing it together, you're both holding each other accountable, and you both met up for the specific purpose. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe and watch one of these videos because they're also really iconic. Okay, bye!